Well, I will do the official host duties. My name is Steve Fosgard. I am the Vice President of Instruction at Alpena Community College. And we are on this session until I believe 2 o'clock is the open roundtable. So if you have individual questions you'd like to post in the chat, you're able to, or since it is a roundtable, we will make sure that the speakers and what I can control everyone is on. Some topics that are typically discussed in the roundtable, any curriculum or teaching updates, technology or equipment updates, recruiting during a pandemic, and just general open discussion. So I'll turn it over to those of you that are actually in drafting design. I taught a little bit of it, but I would certainly say I am no expert. Mine dealt all with one particular area in mold design and product design. So, but that was many moons ago before I became one of those administrators that sit on their butts. I will turn it over to the rest of you.
Well, good. Lisa, where are you from?
I am from Alpena Community College.
Okay.
I'm their Director of Institutional Research.
Gotcha.
I work for Steve.
Okay. Is David still there? Is he still your CAD instructor?
Cummins?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Okay.
he is.
Okay, good.
He was registered for the conference, and I know he was here earlier, and I don't know where he is now.
Okay.
I'll have to send him a text message and ask him, unless he went to a different one.
Yeah, well, it was pretty easy to manipulate to get over to the CAD to this roundtable. So I mean, it seemed to work out pretty well. I just got stuck because I kept going to a different Microsoft Edge as my default. So, and then I read the email that said you can only use the other two. So hey, there.
Oh, here's Dave.
I had a phone call run a little late with a local company, so I apologize for that. Well, actually, I was actually talking to our local businesses, and I found it kind of interesting. One of their corporate priorities now is actually trying to get out to the high schools and recruit and let students know the careers out in industry. So kind of relates to, I know some of the struggles we talked about in the roundtable before was getting students into these programs and realizing those opportunities.
Yeah, that's a great call. Yeah, David, this is Bill Keff again. I just sent you an email.
Thank you for the email.
Yeah, about a year late, but I got it. I was going through all my notes, and I was kind of going down through the names, and I saw your name, and I said, "Oh, you know what? He sent me an email." And I said, I pulled up the check sheet real quick and double checked everything on it and sent it out to you. So I'm like, no, that's horrible. I can't believe I did that. But so
I figure you probably were a little busy.
Yeah. So the good news is, like from our perspective, is that I am my duties starting next semester. I'm trying to back myself off of overload. And then they're giving me a little more time to go out and do recruiting and talk to people. And so one of my goals is to get out and to visit you guys, mainly like Alpena, Mid, some of the places that we've talked, but I want to come and see your facilities and kind of see what you guys run and make that personal connection. You know what I mean? So that's why that's why I join this roundtable every year, because just to be able to talk to you guys and see what we can do to kind of foster that, some of your students that might want to move on.
Oh, that'd be greatly appreciated. I know I have one student, two of them come to mind that were looking at transferring. I think one might have already reached out to you. And yours program is definitely helps us market and push our students towards the 4-year path and gives them a great route there. So to have you come up, see kind of what we're doing, also get your input on things we can do to help better align and get the students set up to transfer would be awesome.
Yeah, and I think I know most of that stuff can be done just by us talking, but I really want to get out and see where you guys are at and just kind of get to know, your facilities and things like that. I just think that lends a lot to what we can do together. So that's kind of why. And like I said, I was just going down through all my notes and stuff, and I saw your name, and I went, uh-oh. Literally 15 minutes before the meeting started, I'm like, frantically typing and sending you a quick check sheet there. So luckily, nothing was really all that much different. It was more on the numbers on our end that I had to update. But yeah, so that should be good. And then and we can kind of talk a little bit more too. I think the one thing I did have a question for you was I didn't have anything. I couldn't tell which was your basic SolidWorks course there.
Our 3D modeling CAD 150 on there.
Okay. So I didn't put that one on there, but I figured that was one that I wanted to make sure that I got a hold of.
Since we have community college and university and industry right here, I'm not sure if you're aware of, but the MCCA, the Michigan Community College Association, through the Student Support Services Group, has put together, it's almost like a working group to look at what they're terming terminal degrees and moving on and trying to get rid of that moniker of terminal degree, which, showing a CAD program technically falls underneath, and why it does. I am a firm believer there is no such thing as a terminal degree.
Yeah.
But the state still uses that rationale, and they are looking at how do we take AAS, traditional terminal degrees, and get them aligned better with our university partners. Kind of like they did with criminal justice and psychology and history and social. They did that project a couple of years ago. So that it might be an interesting topic, or being able to use it. Or I could volunteer both of you for that subcommittee, or just drop your names as hints to the MCCA to show that our degrees, and especially in CAD particularly, are not terminal. That
Right.
There's always a pathway for these students to move forward.
Yeah, and I think what happens is, unfortunately, when we go through that route in terminology of CAD, right? CAD is seen academically, at least, as a separate entity from any type of engineering that you might have, right? So we put this distinction between CAD's over here, engineering's over here, when in reality, that's not at all what happens, right? So they're inseparably intertwined. And so I think to your point of the fact that they keep looking at it as like a quote unquote terminal degree, I do believe is a big misnomer on what's available to these students. And I think another thing that we're really finding out is, and I think we've had this discussion before in this forum, is that students coming from a CAD degree in a community college can be very, very successful here, especially in product design, where our terminal math is Calc 1. We're not going to take you all the way up through Calc 17 or whatever they go to now. I don't even know, but it's a lot, right? There's a lot of them. So, but the bottom line is we have to maintain at least that base level calculus because of the CET requirement, the engineering technology requirements that we have. But beyond that, students are incredibly successful going that route, and I think for those that have been said, well, I'm in a CAD degree, they feel that there's no path to an engineering degree, and it's just not the case. It's just not the case at all. And our students that have a community college base with our product design degree are extremely successful out there. They do fantastic work because We just pile on top of the foundation you guys have built already. They've already got the skills, the CAD skills. They understand what parametric modeling really is all about. And then all we do is say, okay, now take that skill to the next level. Let's throw a little bit of engineering. I tell them it's just a little bit of applied physics. Don't let it freak you out, right? It's not that big a deal, right? We're going to take physics. We're going to show you what we use it for, right? Don't worry. It's not scary. We can do this, So.
Now, one.
I have a question.
I think.
Can I interrupt and ask Stephen a question? I have Eric Sander emailing. He said he never heard anything about the CAD Roundtable. I asked him if he registered for Trends. Is there a link I can send him to get in, or does he have to have registered?
I believe he has to have had registered, because the link to the session is inside the Trends email
That's what I thought.
that they send you. So if you didn't register for Trends, then you can't get into the link. Yeah.
Okay.
Very few people from mid registered this year. It seems to be just their workforce side. I haven't seen many faculty, and I know them all from teaching at mid for a while. So
Yeah.
tell Eric I'm very disappointed in him.
Yeah. He said he didn't know what was happening. So I don't know. Something happened.
His dean happened. His dean wasn't. Sean was not in favor necessarily of a virtual conference.
Oh. Okay. All right. Well, I
But
did.
Tell Eric to yell at Sean if you talk to him.
Okay. All right. So I have a question.
Well, I
for
think.
you guys.
Go
Are you
ahead.
guys using the certifications at all? Like, I know you both are doing SolidWorks. Are you using the certifications at all for transference from the community college to the university?
Yeah. So what we do is, and this, I mentioned this with Doug Mann, because he has the same kind of setup that they have over there at Kellogg Community College, right?
Yeah.
We will accept it, but in order to give, I guess, credit for credit, it is much, much easier for me to have a course that I can tie to, as opposed to just the certification. So what I usually ask is, in which course does your student get the SolidWorks certification, if you're offering it? And then that's the course I use as the equivalency coming in, because I'm not saying I can't make it happen. It's just not as seamless as it would be if I just said, hey, so like for example, that's why I was asking David, what course was your entry level or intermediate, one of those two, wherever that SolidWorks course you feel either that you would give it, that you do give it, or that they are ready for it. Because then what I do is I can say, any student that comes in, I can build that link right into your course. So like when I set up my stuff in with the dean's office, if they see somebody coming from Alpena and they have CAD 150, they don't even have to ask me if it's okay if I get credit for it. It comes in and says, oh, you already have 322. You're all set. Yeah. And it makes a link. The certification, I can do that, but I have to go in there and manually describe kind of what's going on. So not a big deal. I'm working with our dean's office to see if we can remedy that, because that certification would be really nice to, if there was a way I could link that. But in academia, it's got to be a credit for credit kind of thing, right? So
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And
I worked in academia for years, so I get it.
And then from my side is I find the CSWA for my entry students in intro CAD, they're just not ready yet. They're learning so much on just the basics, how to use the software, that to get into design intent and modeling it's too much from grasp in one semester. So I do that in my advanced SolidWorks class, where we really harp on design intent, configurations, and by that point is I give them the certification exam is their final exam.
Right.
And gives them that as their little token out there. So we do a lot more industrial related stuff in our advanced class. And I find that rate, I get more students pass it. I'm probably now more around 80% passing the CSWA, where I think if I had an intro class, I would probably be like 20% or so.
Yeah.
What course is that, David?
That's the CAD 250.
250. Okay.
advanced 3D modeling. Because in that course, we actually get into even opening up step files, IGES files, how you transfer. We do a little bit of surfacing, and then I actually have them do an independent study. One thing our local industry wanted them to do is, can they teach themselves? And half of that class is involved with a project where they take the initiative and they do their own kind of little research project in that class.
Okay. Yeah. So
and our point of
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was going to say that's good to know, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find out all of the courses that institute the CSWA, and then that gives me ammunition to go to the dean's office and say, look, this is what they're doing in these courses. Is there a way we can link the CSWA directly into transferable credit? And that's kind of what my goal is. That's why I was asking, which course did you offer the CSWA in? Because I'm trying to build a case for myself, I guess, is what I'm after. So
if I can jump in again, I think I have SolidWorks at almost every single community college in the state. I'd be very interested in hearing the results of that, because we encourage all schools and community colleges and universities to administer the CSWA. And I'm wondering how many actually do. That would be good information for me to promote, that it will be accepted, at your institute, at Ferris as a course, as well as other universities. But I'd be curious to know that too, because it's there, it's free, it doesn't cost anything additional. I want more people to use that.
Well, if there's a blessing in all of this, in just the sheer drop in number in the demographics of our college level students right now, I mean, that's pretty much what we're all experiencing right now. And when you look at the data, it's because the kids really aren't there. They're just physically not there, right? And so one blessing from this is that it is allowing some of our more rigid structure here at the university to go, well, maybe we ought to look at things a little differently to increase the opportunity for students to come on board, right? And so all of a sudden things that were like, oh no, we can't, there's no possible way we can do that. And all of a sudden going, well, maybe we can talk about it. And so that's one blessing that I'm finding out, is that people are a little more willing to work, around some of these things, now, because they have to, frankly, right? That's the bottom line, is that they're looking for new and inventive ways to create collaboration, and that's been the goal of my new dean, which is why he put me on extra. I'm the only program coordinator in the college that is on a quarter release time for everything, and so I kept getting filled up with credits, and so finally we made a deal. It's almost done, but starting next semester, I'll be the same as the rest of the program coordinators, and they get all half release time. So now they'll have more time to come out and visit and get to know, and we're getting an adjunct instructor, so everything's starting to balance out a little more, so that I can get my credit load back to normal, and then get out of the classroom and get out and start doing my administrative role as a program coordinator, which is working with relationships with you guys. So I'm really excited about it, because that was the linchpin when they said, what's causing you to not have, to not have a good recruiting campaign. And I said, I'm in the class all the time. I said, that's my problem. So it's good news. I'm really happy about that. So
I can speak for Eric, and that he does issue also the SolidWorks certification.
Okay.
At mid, and that was a important thing that he kept going, and they use it as not only in the class, but as that verification of third-party certification for HLC. And I believe we do the same with yours, David.
Yes, it is.
Now, I don't know how much we want to get into this, so Annette, I want to maybe Luke and I would have a conversation with you about the CSWA, There's some things in there that are like fundamentally we would like to see, and I don't know how much influence we would have on that, but most of it has to deal with not with the functioning. Like it does a great job of the students understanding the program, and so we feel very confident in that. But we're still getting things in there where like things that should be weldments or things that should be multiple parts are just one big blob. There's not a lot of design for manufacturing built into the CSWA. So that's my only criticism of the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, is that
so? It is the same as the commercial test. Okay, the CSWA is the same that's given commercially, but I do know some people on the CSWA certification team at DeSoto. So if you could, they love listening to customers. They're going to listen to you before they're going to listen to me.
okay?
Honestly, get some stuff in writing. Get some stuff put together, and they're very open to listening, I think, to the customers.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll have Luke pull the examples out of there so that he can share that with them, and if we'll talk. He's kind of the point guy on it because he runs all of our CAD courses at the moment. And so, but I just told him I would mention something in this meeting and see if anybody else felt the same way or what that was, what we thought about that. So
this is a little side note, not really with your topic, but it does have to do with certifications. And as you're going out to visit, we, Go Engineer, are doing a certificate. We do those webinars. We do a webinar every quarter on something. We are doing certifications in December. So we're going to be doing a certification webinar, and that will be good for people who are not, it'll be good for everybody. But if you run across, say, a community college that isn't administering the CSWA, we could get them that webinar. That's kind of our goal, is to have a clean working copy of how to set that up and how to walk through it. But in the process of working on the webinar, I'll share, you two will be hot off the press, first to know this. The certification process is going to change just a little bit come January 1. And still using virtual tester, still the same, except you will no longer have to request and create vouchers. So we're pretty excited about that. We're going to eliminate a step for teachers to have to do that. So anyway, you're the first to know, because I just learned like this week.
Nice.
But that's being rolled out in January. So we're hoping to get a nice webinar recording that we can share with anybody who is not administering the CSWA or P or whatever it is. Bill, it fares, you could be, I don't know, are you guys doing anything above the CSWA, CSWP, or any of the other ones, weldments or sheet metal or any of the other ones?
Yeah, so we're taking the CSWP is what we're going to start linking our advanced course to.
Okay.
And then, but again, Luke and I want to talk about that because there's some things in there we kind of want to get lined up. Like we have students that come in that they're great CAD modelers, right? They know the system really well, but we're still doing things that are fundamentally flawed, like like completely square boxes and like if we're making a machine part that's got square corners on the inside and they don't understand why that's a problem, and doing things like where we've got 3 or 4 things built together, but they designed it all as one and it said, well, that's my weldment. It's like, well, it can't be a weldment because it's all one piece already. You got to design 3 pieces and to make a weldment. Just things like that where we feel they're coming in with understanding of the program, no problem, but it's the DFM stuff that we're still running across and
we got to get that information back to SolidWorks.
Yeah.
They need to hear that so that they can make those changes, because they do make changes to the certification every so often.
Okay, and we'll make it very specific. Like we'll pull the very specific examples so that we're not just saying just talking, out of just our opinion. It's like, hey, this is what we're talking about. Look at this. If this is going to be this, do this. And we know in manufacturing we can machine square corners. We can do that. There's a way that make that happen. It's just not the common practice. I mean, and we're not going to EDM everything out that we need to EDM because we can get a square corner, right? And it's not really the best for design stresses either. So, I mean, just things like that where we just would like to see a little bit more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to take over the whole meeting on that. But that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So,
yeah, sure.
My journey person made me hand cut square corner.
And
I'm just gonna say it was miserable.
One of the challenges we're having, at least here in Northeast Michigan, is getting students in. We're finding that a lot of our high schools have dropped almost all industrial arts. In the last year or two, I've had about 3 or 4 students sign up for CAD, and they thought we designed computers. They don't even know what the term CAD is anymore. So initiative, Stephen helped initiate here is try and get some more survey courses offered by the college into our high schools remotely. So that's what we're going to be trying, is making more awareness to the high school students through do enrollment survey courses. What is industrial arts? What is machine design? And so my challenge I'm having with that is software that can run on Chromebooks.
Yeah.
So with that, we do have the 3D Designer platform for education that does run on Chromebooks. Okay. It is not SolidWorks. It uses XDesign, but it does have a SolidWorks connector. So when they're home, it's a cloud-based program. They can run it on any device. But when they come into the lab, they can open it in SolidWorks. So
we'll port over with a feature tree.
You're beyond my pay grade now.
Well, yeah, basically, so part of that problem is what he's talking about is if it translates over, a lot of those translates over as what we call dumb solids, right? They just come in as a block of entity without the spec tree, which is all of the feature-based modeling you built into your model initially goes away. So all you end up with is it comes in, but it's just a block. Right, you can't do anything. Well, you can't break it apart again because all the features are gone. It comes in. We call them a dumb solid. But yeah,
what we would have to do is have you get an onboarding session or a demo session with someone, one of our application engineers. We have a complete package that we put together to show teachers what it can do. Because the big dream I would have would be a cloud-based 2D system, because to introduce them, I find the 3D is a little disadvantage. You don't learn the fundamentals. So if it was like a 2D, almost like the draft site, but something they could run on a Chromebook or something to just introduce them to the basics of drafting and then to get them into like 3D modeling. Let me check on that. I've heard some rumors about draft site going to be available on the cloud, but I'm not 100% sure where that's at.
Oh, that would be awesome if that could happen.
Okay.
I know, honestly, where I'm at is AutoCAD released their web version with COVID, but my problem is they haven't committed to that being there forever. So my fear is I could develop a whole curriculum and then they turn it off and then I'm done.
Right. I'll check on that for you. I don't know where we're at on the draft side. I've got another community college that's looking for that too, so that kids can use that at home. And the advantage is we could then start creating intro to engineering graphics course more at the high school level and use that as awareness at the high school level to help bring them into these types of programs. That would be a huge one if they had a web version of that. So I would say to you, David, I would put together a short bulleted document of that I can submit to SolidWorks.
Awesome. And honestly,
to teachers, they're not going to listen to Annette Norris. They will listen to teachers if they, tell them what you want.
Well, I will come up with a draft, send it to you, help me refine it, and that could help out our region a lot. The other one, just FYI out there, I started using this semester, experimented with a program called Spatial VI. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it. Spatial VI is an app for students, and it's designed for educators. In that, if you remember us old timers, if you remember the old graphic engineering books where you had the isometric paper and you had to sketch the iso cubes, or you had the missing view and you had sketch it. Spatial VI has now created that as an app you can run on your phone, your tablet, even on a website, and the students just do it with a touchscreen or with a mouse, and it instantly gives them feedback how they did. And my students I gave them about half of the odd problems for their assignment, and they end up doing every single problem because they end up getting addicted to it. And I found that was a great replacement for the manual sketching to introduce them concept, and that's where I'm missing that piece of a 2D CAD to take them to the next step. And then if I had that next step, that would help give them a lot of the fundamentals to then appreciate and understand more what's going on in the 3D modeling and the proper drawing standards.
So David, what I'd like to do is hook you up with my SolidWorks rep and have you talk about some of this stuff with him. So maybe sometime we can just do a Zoom meeting or some conference call or something.
I love that, Annette.
He can hear what you're saying, because he can then take it back too, and he can help maybe fill in some of those blanks for us.
I appreciate that. So let's.
I just made myself a note.
Yeah, let's connect next week and find out a time that works, and let's meet and take that to the next step.
Yeah, if you can send me 2 or 3 dates and times, I'll send them over to Mike and see if we can get something together.
I'll get that to you.
Great.
I think you touched on something, David, that I don't know if I wish we had more of the other colleges here, but I think you touched on something there, and that is that I don't know if they understood what happened when they started pulling that tech ed stuff out of the schools, what a disservice that does to the whole propagation all the way down the line, because not introducing them or letting them know that this is an opportunity or a career opportunity all the way down there at the bottom has a trickle effect all the way through the academias and in the industry, where kids are no longer even looking at it as a viable option. Why? Because they don't even know it's a viable option. So I think you touched on it there, and that's a great idea that you guys are doing by trying to say, hey, if the schools aren't going to do it, we're going to inject it back into the school so that we can start there and let these kids know, hey, we're still here. There's still a big deal. We still need a lot of you guys out there. So yeah, I think that's excellent. I hope that a lot of the other community colleges are thinking that same way, because fundamentally that's where it starts, way all the way down to that high school level.
The problem we started seeing with the high school starting to pull that away was I get students in, they could model beautifully and create a great model, but when it got to the drawing, they didn't understand why the right view had to be on the right side of the front view, and why they couldn't just put an isometric view and dimension it. And without the fundamentals, the SolidWorks made it too easy for them, and that's where I see we need pull back in a little bit of that fundamentals. If we can use it as a diction in the high schools to pull them in.
Yeah, who knew all I had to do was put an app on the phone and they would, there you go, and they'd be addicted to it. It's just complete turnaround, right? I mean,
and that's where I find some of the technology out there. The Spatial VI was we use Solid Professor in my CAD courses as their main lecture source. And Solid Professor did a webinar, and they had the creators of Spatial VI kind of talk about it. It's not a bad price. It's $20 for the students. And it's sort of like, if you're familiar with Solid Professor, it's a similar aspect to that, where it's just description. And then as an instructor, I can make assignments and assign them. And I already have some instructors liking it, thinking, well, maybe in my course, I'll give them the first little bit of it. And then in the other course, you can give them the other half, and kind of working together.
Okay.
Not to put you on the spot, David, but explain how we're using VCS to get CAD into remote areas, like Oscoda.
So that's our experiment this semester. Is we're doing a live class with VCS, and with that, since the course I have set up is almost purely online, it is set up as almost an independent online course. And then typically when we come in, first 10 to 30 minutes, I just tell them what's going on this week, what's due, any pointers, and then all their lessons, all their videos are online. Their lecture is watching the week before Solid Professor video sets that are about 5-10 minutes each, and they just kind of watch those as their lecture. And then they have assignments, and then I try to give them a step-by-step on most assignments, and then working on towards where there's assignment a week without a step-by-step video, where then they have to free think. And then the advantage with Blackboard, they're able to upload that. And I tell them if they upload it early, I'll check it, look at it, and then they have a chance to resubmit it before the due date. And we got now, I think, 6 individuals from local industry. They're doing it to help grab some more skills to hopefully get promotions. And I found too is some of my in-class students, they're now joining remotely because it gives them a little more freedom on their schedules.
Yep.
And I think we're finding that we're seeing more students taking the course because of that extra freedom.
Absolutely. What is VCS by just off the?
You can probably explain that better than me, Stephen.
It's a video conferencing system through Cisco.
Cisco.
So we have 2 large units, large televisions. What are they, 50 or 75 inch in one location, and then we have the same ones in another location. So where David's at in Alpena, he can actually teach, and it's broadcast live in high definition to our Oscoda campus. So in that lab, those students actually see David right in front of the class.
Awesome.
And then they're able to follow along completely.
And actually how it's evolved is there's no more students in those classrooms. They're joining remotely from their computers.
Yep.
Because in the end with the CAD, the advantage is if they have a problem, they just share their screen with me. Then I can go through and show them, click, or give them some feedback on their model or how to change it.
Yep.
And then in my, how I teach 3D modeling, SolidWorks, is I give them the freedom. They can create the model any way they want, but second week is then I start penalizing them if there's any underdefined sketches or intersecting contours.
Right. Gotcha.
Try and get those good modeling habits. And I noticed a lot of the ones that learned at high school or through a robotics team, they're just throwing stuff together that would fall apart pretty quick in industry.
Yeah, a lot of what we call dirty modeling going on out there, right? Where you just kind of, hey, SolidWorks won't double up on volume. Just run them together. You'll be fine.
Yeah, just throw a sketch together, or and that's where I harp on them pretty good. And then usually by about this time of the semester, their technique is pretty good. They got rid of all their bad habits, and then you can see they're starting to enjoy it more and having a little more fun. And I integrate 2 projects in the class, so they have a chance to model something they want to.
Yep.
And I just give them more criteria of how many features, what type of features I want to see in that model. And that way they're not doing widgets and gadgets, they're doing something they're interested in. Yeah,
I think that's a big part of it. We do that. We've switched all of our courses over to active-based learning so that they're what's the academic term I think they call is critical thinking, right? But I think we used to call it common sense, but critical thinking is a good term as well. And I think that's a big draw to let them just say, hey, pick out something you want to make, but here's the things I got to have. And all of a sudden it becomes, they own it now, right? And as soon as they own it, it's like, we got them, right? We got them. So.
Then usually a little care I can give them too is if they want 3D print it, give them option that, hey, if you want 3D print it, I'll help you just make sure it's printable, and then we can print it.
Do you guys have printers available there?
Yeah, we do. My biggest problem I have with 3D printers is most of the time the students just want download a model and print trinkets.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to integrate them more. One we tried was a 3D printed motor that in our machine design class is they work on the blueprints and then could print it and assemble it, and that was actually working motor. Ended up being a little complicated, I think, for them to fully understand it. So our next one we're working on is with our machine shop is using the 3D print more like a casting, where they'll design it, 3D print it, and then do post machining on it.
Ah, okay.
Trying to get more of that industrial instead of just, hey, I can print cool trinkets and just download models and print. Because in our area, very few of the industries are actually 3D printing for a production. Most of them is just for sales demos.
Mm-hmm.
So try and get the students to use it as a learning process to what is a design, like design for manufacturing. Your design for manufacturing for 3D print is a little different than for milling. But if they can figure out limitations on 3D printing, they can probably figure out the limitations in milling.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a good way. We're talking right now where Ferris is going is this Industry 4.0 stuff that's coming up, where we're trying to integrate, cybersecurity along with networking, along with product development, along with manufacturing, and it's all, linked in together and figuring out how that's all going to look. We're talking about converting our big manufacturing space. Part of that's going to go to like an additive manufacturing center, we hope. Really preliminary right now, but they keep asking like, what do we think we need to do? And one of them is, and that's why I was hoping they were getting exposed to some of that 3D printing. We're trying to talk in terms of additive manufacturing as opposed to, like you said, 3D printing used to be, I can print some cool little gadgets and jewelry and stuff like that. But in reality, it's taking industry like everything, like innovation usually does. It starts in places like aerospace and medical, where they can get away with the higher costs of what's involved there, until it comes a little more mainstream, and then all of a sudden it's starting to trickle down. And so we want to kind of get on that and talk a little bit about that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that you're doing some of that with them, because we're trying to see what that's going to look like in the future. I think it's going to get a little bit more prevalent than what we've seen. So,
Bill,
are you seeing much of industry using that in your region, or are they just in your region still use it more for sales demo, or are they using any of it for production?
So GE has a little bit of a production center down at their aerospace facility down in Grand Rapids. But again, and then I think Stryker Medical has a few things that they do additive manufacture wise, but for the most part, it's still the same thing, right? It's used for spatial recognition. It's used for, fit function, kind of stuff, but at real preliminary stages, but not at the production level yet. But I think as materials come by, as processes kind of change and morph, I think we'll see more of that start to happen. There's some really cool technology coming out that we can't afford yet, but that has to do with especially in the metal sintering and powdered metallurgy arena. That's when I think it's going to explode here pretty quick.
Bill, are you working with the MMTC, the Michigan Manufacturing Technology Centers, with any of your additive manufacturing?
So they are a partner that has been brought up as far as like how can we, if we're going to do this, we don't want to be a standalone entity. We want to make sure that we're linked in with all of that. So yeah, that's they were brought up. What's the West Michigan? I know I was going to forget it. West Michigan Business Partners, or I'll think of it when I'm not thinking about it, right? So
that's right.
Yeah, but but we're trying to link in with places like that. And our problem is we're the design leg. We're product design, right? That's what we are. It's like trying to push a rope because I'm trying to get the manufacturing people on board and say, this is your arena. I'm just the design guy, right? I can design and manufacture it. We can design for manufacturing. If we know what processes we're dealing with, we incorporate that. But really, this needs to be coming from our big manufacturing center that we have down there, and they need to get on board and start steering the ship, because right now, anything that has to do with 3D printing or additive manufacturing, we own. Product design owns. We bought all the 3D printers on campus that we have, save a couple that some faculty have. We've pushed it down into manufacturing as far as we can, but we're like, guys, this is something. If you're going to create a $40 million advanced manufacturing center, we probably should have added something to do with additive manufacturing. I mean, just sounds like a logical step. So hopefully, this will kind of encourage some more of that. So yeah.
I know in the Saginaw area, MMTC, and then I believe they're also doing it closer to Ann Arbor. They have a large lightweighting project going on that is dealing a lot with the additive manufacturing, starting with product design. How do you design it for stability, strength, everything else, making it out of additives? I know our Saginaw area just got a new person. I don't believe it used to be Jeremy Bockelman, but he's no longer the director there. So I will get that name for you, because it might be a nice connection. And then, even though they do things for profit sometimes, charge for classes, some of their programs, they work just in conjunction with community colleges and universities on these projects. And I know they would love to have more inclusion.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. I would really appreciate that. So one of the things that we're looking at is we're working with Kendall College of Art and Design and with Grand Valley right now. They've got this big innovation hub that they've developed down there. And the whole idea is we're trying to incorporate business right into the engineering coursework up here. Now, Ferris has obviously geographically, we have a little bit of a disadvantage because we're up here in the middle of nowhere in Big Rapids, right? But we've got a little bit of a center here. Grand Rapids is only an hour away, but we're trying to make these links to say, hey, look, this is your applied technology programs here. This is where engineering kind of meets the road, right? It's where all this stuff is happening, and we want to be a part of that. So any links that I can get like that, I would appreciate. We're just, we're trying to get people to I don't know, break down some silos, maybe is the best way to put it, and start, walking arm in arm here, and we'll see what happens. We'll either strangle each other or we'll shake hands. I'm not sure which way it's going to go yet.
I do have to give, I'm a minute, or now 2 minutes late, the 15-minute warning before we're done. So in my instructions, I have to give you a 15-minute warning and a 5-minute. So.
Well, I'm glad you did. Yeah, this has actually been a good discussion, you guys. I mean, this has been, pretty good. It would be really nice. So I think part of what happened here is that I didn't hear anything about the roundtable either. I had no idea if we were going to do it or not, but I figured, well, I didn't do a virtual. I can't remember if we did virtual last year. It wasn't like this though, the registration. So I just signed up for Trends, and I just went through and down the list and clicked on the little link that said sessions. And I said, well, we usually have one, so it's got to be in this list somewhere. So I started scrolling down and I found it. And then I saw the link where you could put it on your calendar. So I clicked it, said Outlook, boom, dropped it on my calendar. So I just don't think there was a lot of heads up as to, hey, this is actually going on kind of thing. So
I think it's because Eric stepped down, and like I said, I got that email. They were looking for a coordinator, and I don't know that they found one. And so I don't know that those emails that we would always get from Eric telling us what we were doing, I don't know that that happened this year.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure they found a coordinator.
Okay.
So it kind of just fell by the wayside, I'm afraid.
Looks like we have 2 volunteers though.
Yeah, it'd be great. These are always excellent conversations, and we get a lot of stuff out of them for everybody. And so we really do need someone to get a hold of Jason or Eric and say, yeah, I'll coordinate it. So I offered to help, but I'm not sure, because it's trends, I'm not sure that I'm the right person to do it, but I am willing to help. Like I said, I have almost all, there's like 2 community colleges that don't have SolidWorks, and I have all the major universities, of course. So I'm willing to help or co-chair. I'm just not sure I should take the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no one's speaking up.
I know that brought dead silence to the room.
Well, I feel kind of the same way, because I'm kind of here just to make the link with all of the rest of the community colleges, and so I would feel almost like I'm steering the ship, like, because I'm just here to kind of feed off of whatever you guys are finding at your level, so that I can adjust my level and get to know you guys, so that I can come in and set up the link in case there's students that want to have an opportunity to go into our program. And so, man, I'd feel kind of, I don't want to be the chair guy. That would make me feel like I'm steering everything my way, and I don't want to look like that. So
No, completely understandable there. The Roundtable, as long as I can remember, the Roundtable serves such a valuable resource. And if you don't have the person committed at the top, committed may not be the right term, that is allowed the freedom at the top and the time, which is the big thing. It gets challenging.
If you guys are okay with it, I don't know who has the list that usually Eric and Jason use. I'm very willing to do it next year and send out an email and say we're going to have the CAD roundtable at Trends. I'm very willing to do that if you guys think that's appropriate. And kind of like you, Bill, I'm industry. I'm SolidWorks.
yeah,
I could steer everybody, but you got to go with Go Engineer.
yeah.
So, but I'm willing to do some of that if it's appropriate, which some of it to me says that we really should have more people in here. And it's unfortunate that we didn't get those people, because they bring so much to the table. So I really think we do need to come up with an answer of how to make sure the roundtable keeps moving forward.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. My problem is just time. I don't think it'd be fair for me to commit, because I'll probably end up dropping the ball with other priorities.
Yeah.
So, Bill, maybe you and I could work together for next year and just make sure that the email gets out to all the CAD people and invite them to Trends. I'm very willing to help do that. And if we have a university and me, you're going to be meeting with all the community colleges, sounds like, and maybe you'll have a list of names of some people that we've missed in the past. And I think it's just getting that email out to the folks that it's happening at Trends this time and blah, blah. I'm very willing.
And I would agree. I think Annette and Bill, that you guys are probably the best ones, since you're out there touching all of them in our region.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where I'm living in my little bubble with my students and just in the grass.
Yeah. No, I guess, I don't really, same with Annette, I don't have a problem just kind of seeing how it goes. I almost feel like, I don't know how to put it, like like I want to be here as a support and to let you know that there's something else going on, but I don't want to say like, okay, this is what you got to do so you can get to my program. I got you all, you know. And I think I'm good enough or smart enough to know that that's not who I am, so I wouldn't end up doing that, right? So
I'll get a hold of Jason and Eric and see how much work it really is, and if it's just simply sending out the email once a year or twice a year reminder, sign up for trends, come to the CAD Roundtable.
yeah,
I think I can do that.
yeah,
It's
I think that would be appropriate,
thank
especially this isn't necessarily a steering committee. It's truly just a roundtable
yeah. That's
to
a
bring
good point.
people in. And
Yeah.
I know throughout the year, Ken has been talking, and the MODAC group has been talking about doing these roundtables a couple times a year.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, just to bring people together, especially since, you know, we went virtual and we weren't sure which platforms and, you know, all this other crazy stuff on how do we get people together periodically throughout the year. Because I think it's valuable information. So I think if you contact Eric and Jason and just let them know you would like to keep people refreshed and let them know we had, you know, an outstanding community college educator in CAD on the line. I'm not biased in any means. Then, you know, that might work. And I'll send Eric a text. I'm just going to put shame. And leave it.
Right. He never got back to me. I asked him if he was registered for trends and he never replied. So
Oh, I got a message from his dean. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Sean and I are close friends, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can tell Eric too, but I'll help.
Okay.
I don't want it. Oh, go engineers taking over the CAD roundtable at Trends. I don't want that either.
No, I'll make sure people don't realize that.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want it to go away. This conversation
Right.
was fantastic
It was.
between everybody.
And it's always good. Every year it's good.
That's right.
And
So now we just need
And
to keep
honestly,
that going.
I like the virtual because it allows me still do my classes and not have cancel classes for a couple of days. So
Right.
this I really like.
Yeah.
I anticipate conferences are going to be kind of hybrids moving forward.
Mhm.
Virtual's not going to go away now. We're doing the apprenticeship conference in November, and we're doing a hybrid. We're doing in person and we're doing virtual at the same time, so you can choose.
Yeah.
I suspect that's going to be the wave of the future.
I think it'll put a lot of pressure on our conference centers as well.
Yes.
Because if those who have ever attended a conference at the Amway Grand in Grand Rapids, the technology is still this cart that they roll out with a projector from 1982.
Yeah.
You know, and same with Grand Traverse Resort. It's not the most Wi-Fi equipped. So I think it'll really up the game of our conference centers as well. And we'll see some more venues popping up. And
Yeah, and you
I've
can
always been in favor of using the local community college as part of your conference, as we did the one year with MITA and Mid. You know, a day at Soaring Eagle and a day at Mid-Michigan,
Yeah. Well, we're
combining
doing
those
virtual.
technologies.
We're
At
doing it
Kirtland for the MITA
Mid-Michigan.
conference.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think the venues, it opens up more venues because you don't have to have a venue that can hold, 500 people or whatever. You can go with a smaller venue, which opens up a lot.
Correct.
So,
Well,
All
I am
right.
going to, it's 2 minutes to 2. So if there are no other questions, I want to thank our participants today.
all right.
I wish there were more. Lisa,
Yeah.
hopefully you got a lot of work done during this time.
Yeah. Did you learn
No.
anything?
Now, why would you say that?
There, I unmuted you. Hopefully you learned something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, Bill, and it's
Thank you,
good
everybody.
see you, and we'll be in contact, and Annette, I'll be in contact with you.
Yep.
All right. Great.
Sounds
Great.
great.
See you on campus next week, David.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.